Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, don't scroll past this one, smash it, because we've got a jersey giveaway lined up for you once we hit that milestone, and every single subscriber gets us one step closer. Now let's get into it, because Broncos country, we need to talk. Because what happened last night at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta was not a preseason game. I don't care what the calendar says. I don't care what the box score technically labels it as. That was a statement. That was Denver kicking the door down and reminding the entire NFL that this roster isn't just deep, it's dangerous. From the first string all the way down to the guys wearing jersey numbers you can barely remember. And by the time you finish watching this video, you are going to understand exactly why Broncos fans everywhere are losing their minds this morning. So buckle up, because we're breaking down the winners, the standouts, the eyebrow-raising performances, and one pick six that might have just changed the entire trajectory of a former first-round pick's career. Let's get into it. Let's start with the number that should stop you in your tracks. 11 first downs. That's how many first downs the Atlanta Falcons managed in the entire football game. And Denver matched that total in the first quarter alone. Read that again. 1 quarter of football, and the Broncos offense already put up what an entire opposing offense could muster across 60 minutes. That's not a fluke. That's not garbage time stat padding. That's domination. And it happened before most fans had even settled into their couches. Now here's why that number matters so much, and it starts with the man calling the plays. Davis Webb has taken over play-calling duties this offseason, and last night was the clearest proof yet of exactly what Broncos fans were hoping for. All offseason, the conversation was about modernizing this offense. Fans wanted to see shades of Ben Johnson, shades of Sean McVay, shades of Kyle Shanahan, that up-tempo, under-center, run-game-first identity that's taken over the league. And look, let's give credit where it's due. Sean Payton is one of the most brilliant offensive architects in football. His in-game adjustments, especially at halftime, are borderline unmatched across the entire league. But what we saw last night was something different. It was Davis Webb blending a modern, aggressive rushing scheme into Payton's foundation, and the results were immediate. Denver ran for well over 150 yards as a team, and it wasn't just chunk plays from skill players bailing out a broken scheme. It was a full commitment to the run, trusting the offensive line to win one-on-one battles against a Falcons front that was sending 4 and 5 down linemen at them. That is a statement about roster building. That's a statement about coaching. And that's a statement about intent heading into the regular season. But if we're talking about the single biggest storyline from last night, it has to be the debut of rookie running back Jonah Coleman. And I want to be careful here, because hype gets thrown around constantly in preseason football, and 90% of the time it means nothing by week 3 of the regular season. This is not one of those times. Jonah Coleman looked like a player who has been in the league for half a decade, not a rookie playing his first live snaps as a professional. His contact balance was absurd. His vision was even better. There was one run in particular, a 13-yard gain where he read a cutback lane off his blockers, shifted his path toward the middle of the field, bounced off a would-be tackler at the second level, kept his legs driving through contact, and fell forward for extra yardage. That's not rookie instinct. That's veteran patience paired with rookie speed, and it is an absolutely terrifying combination for opposing defensive coordinators. Now, was it a perfect debut? No, he only logged a couple of pass-blocking reps, and by his own tape, they were a little shaky, a shifted angle here, a not quite square contact point there. But here's the thing that actually matters. He was willing. He stepped up, he engaged, he made physical contact even when the technique wasn't polished. That's coachable. That's fixable with reps. What is not fixable, what cannot be taught, is the vision and contact balance he flashed as a runner, and that's exactly what he brought to Atlanta. Sean Payton himself said post-game that Coleman does not look like a rookie. And honestly, he's right. Mark this down right now. Jonah Coleman is going to be this team's RB1 sooner than most people think. Maybe not week 1, but sooner than you think. If you're loving what you're hearing so far, do me a favor and drop a comment down below telling me who your MVP was from last night's game. I read every single one of them, and it genuinely helps this channel grow when you engage. All right, let's talk about the quarterback room, because this might be the juiciest storyline of the entire preseason. Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger both took snaps last night, and the internet immediately split into two camps arguing about who played better. Let me settle this for you with the actual context, because context matters enormously here. Stidham was playing with a chunk of Denver's starting units. Reliable protection, established chemistry, some of the top string weapons rotating through. Ehlinger came in behind him with the 3s, the 4s, and even some 5s on the depth chart. So when people say Ehlinger looked just as good as Stidham, I need you to understand that's not really a fair fight, and if anything, it makes Ehlinger's performance even more impressive given the circumstances. Stidham was exactly what we already knew he was, a steady, veteran pocket presence. Great timing, tremendous rhythm on his throws, beautiful touch on the deep ball, and a passer rating that reportedly touched 110 last night. This is a guy who knows exactly what he is in this league, a high-end, dependable backup who can manage an offense and not turn the ball over. That's valuable. That's not sexy, but it's valuable. Ehlinger, on the other hand, showed off the traits that actually make him intriguing as a long-term QB2 candidate. Traits that mirror Bo Nix more than Stidham's game ever could. His athleticism on Arpo keepers was on full display. He had one absolute dime, a beautiful throw across his body that connected downfield. Was it a flawless outing? No, he took a gamble or two he probably shouldn't have, including a pass that would have been picked off if not for the defender stepping out of bounds. But overall, both quarterbacks did their job, managed the offense, and gave Broncos fans zero reasons to panic. And now the real intrigue begins, because the expectation across the building is that Ehlinger will get a start with the 2s coming up, likely against Green Bay or Minnesota, as this coaching staff tries to figure out who's actually winning that QB2 job. This competition is far from over, and I promise you, we are going to be tracking every single throw. Okay, before we move on to the defensive side of the ball and the play that had Broncos Twitter absolutely exploding last night, I've got to give a shout out to the folks over at Prize Picks who are sponsoring today's breakdown. If you're a fan who likes putting a little skin in the game on Sundays, or in this case, preseason Fridays, Prize Picks is hands down one of the easiest, most straightforward ways to do it. No stress, no fantasy scoring nonsense, just picking more or less on player props and watching it play out in real time. Here's the deal I've got for you right now. Sign up using code MA. Play your very first $5 lineup. And if that lineup hits, Prize Picks will hand you $150 in bonus lineups. That's not a typo. $5 turning into $150 in free plays if you're right. That's an incredible way to get started with basically no risk. Download the app, use code MA at signup, and get in on the action before next weekend's slate. Everything you need is linked down in the description and pinned in the comments below. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now let's talk about the guy who might have delivered the single best individual performance of the entire night, cornerback Jahdae Barron. And look, I have to be honest with you Broncos fans, the conversation around Barron heading into this preseason was not glowing. There were real, legitimate concerns about his coverage instincts, about how sticky he was compared to some of the veterans in this secondary. That criticism was fair. It was earned through training camp reps that didn't always look great on tape. But last night, Jahdae Barron reminded this entire fan base exactly why he was a first-round selection. The athleticism was undeniable. The closing speed was undeniable. He hit like a player who understands that physicality is non-negotiable at the next level. And then came the play of the night, the pick six. Now, I'll give you the full picture here instead of just the highlight reel version. The ball was actually tipped at the line by Corain Reed before falling into Barron's hands, and from there it was pure speed and separation that turned it into 6 points. More than technical coverage skill. But don't let that detail take anything away from what came right after it, because on the very next opportunity, Barron showed off textbook coverage instincts on a post route up the seam, mirroring his receiver step for step before jumping the route at the last possible second. The ball just barely slipped through his fingertips on what should have been interception number 2. Yes, the Falcons' quarterback play last night left a lot to be desired, and yes, we have to season this with the appropriate grain of salt that comes with any preseason performance. But confidence is currency in the NFL, and Jahdae Barron built himself a mountain of it in Atlanta. If he can stack even 1 or 2 more performances like that, and he'll get his shot against some challenging matchups coming up, including Tyrod Taylor and eventually J.J. McCarthy, this secondary could look completely different by the time real football begins. If you're new here, this is exactly the kind of breakdown we do after every single Broncos game, all 17 of them. Plus every postseason matchup if Denver makes the run we all think they can make. So if that sounds like your kind of content, get subscribed right now. It genuinely takes 2 seconds, and it helps us more than you know as we chase this next milestone. Now, it wasn't all sunshine and touchdown dances last night. Let's talk about the guys who had a rougher outing. Because a fair breakdown means covering the good and the bad. Kicker struggles were real, with a costly false start penalty and a missed field goal attempt compounding a shaky night in that phase of the game. There was also a nasty fumble from the return game that had fans holding their breath for a second, though that player also picked up an injury earlier in the contest. So it's hard to draw too firm a conclusion from that one moment. And look, I know what some of you are already typing in the comments, Moose. It's preseason. Calm down. None of this matters. And to that I say, those same people would be the first ones in your mentions clowning this team if they had lost last night. You cannot have it both ways. When the vibes are good, let them be good. Positive momentum, especially heading into a critical stretch of roster evaluation, matters. Confidence matters. Building winning habits matters, even when the games technically don't count on paper. Speaking of things that don't feel great, we do need to pass along one piece of concerning news that came out of Friday night's action. Reports indicate a serious leg injury suffered by one of Denver's depth players, and early indications suggest it could be a significant amount of time on the shelf. We don't have full details on the exact diagnosis yet, but as soon as more information comes out, you know this channel will be the first to bring you the update. Keep that player in your thoughts, because injuries like that are never something to brush past, even in the middle of an otherwise electric night for this franchise. So let's zoom out and put a bow on this. Denver put up 11 first downs in a single quarter. Their offensive coordinator delivered exactly the modern, aggressive scheme fans have been begging for all offseason. Their rookie running back looked like a 5-year vet in his very first live snaps. Their quarterback room delivered 2 clean, mistake-avoiding performances that set up a genuinely fascinating QB2 battle over the next few weeks. And their most criticized defensive back of the entire summer walked into Atlanta and delivered a pick 6, on top of a coverage rep that was one fingertip away from a second interception. If you're a Broncos fan and you're not excited this morning, I don't know what to tell you. Because this was about as encouraging as a preseason opener could possibly go. And look, I get it. I get the skeptics. I get the it's just preseason crowd. But building a winning culture starts exactly like this. It starts with confidence. It starts with players getting reps and translating success on air into success on tape, into success where it actually counts. Denver did all of that last night, and if this is the floor for where this roster is right now, the ceiling this season could be something special. So here's what I need from you before you go. Drop a comment below and tell me who impressed you the most last night. Jonah Coleman's debut? Jahdae Barron's pick six? Or are you still not sold until we see Bo Nix get some run next week? Let me know down there, because I want to hear it. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel more than you'd believe. And if you haven't already, get subscribed because we are closing in on 1,000 subscribers and every single one of you gets us that much closer to unlocking a jersey giveaway for this community. This is just the beginning of preseason, Broncos country, and if last night was any indication, we are in for one heck of a ride. Until next time, mile high salute and let's keep this rolling.